If you are over 60 and taking a daily pill believing it supports heart health for seniors, this may stop you cold. A growing cardiologist warning seniors is quietly circulating in medical circles right now. It suggests that some of the most common medications' heart risk profiles increase with age. In other words, the very pill harming the heart may be hiding in plain sight. This is not about panic, it's about understanding heart stress in older adults. Because after 60, the body reacts differently to long-term compounds, and most seniors are never told this shift even exists. Cardiologists are now seeing subtle but repeatable senior heart damage signs appear over time. Not sudden events, but slow, silent strain building in the background. Many of these patterns are being linked to medication side effects seniors rarely associate with the heart. The warning isn't that all medications are dangerous, it's that aging changes how the heart processes daily inputs. What once felt protective can quietly become stress, and that's where most people get caught off guard. This is why experts focused on Protect Heart After 60 strategies are changing their approach. They're no longer looking at the heart in isolation. They're examining how long-term routines interact with an aging cardiovascular system, especially when multiple daily substances are involved. The real risk isn't what happens overnight, it's what accumulates slowly without obvious symptoms. And to understand that risk, you first need to see what's really happening inside the system. This message is specifically for seniors over 60 who truly care about heart health for seniors. People who follow medical advice carefully and do what they're told, yet still notice lingering fatigue that doesn't quite make sense, a subtle tightness in the chest that comes and goes, or a steady drop in daily energy that feels hard to explain. These are not dramatic symptoms. They're easy to dismiss as just aging, and that's exactly why they often get overlooked. Many older adults assume that if they are compliant, they are protected. They believe the system automatically adjusts for age, but the body after 60 operates under different internal rules. What once supported balance may now create extra workload, especially when routines haven't been reevaluated in years. That's why so many seniors feel confused by mixed signals. They're trying to protect heart after 60, yet something still feels off beneath the surface. This is not about blaming doctors or questioning guidance. It's about recognizing that recommendations are often general. They rarely account for long-term accumulation in older adults or how multiple daily inputs interact inside one system. That's where frustration quietly grows, because effort is being applied, discipline is already there, but results feel incomplete, and that opens a much deeper question. At this stage of life, the heart doesn't fail loudly. It communicates through patterns, not alarms. Small changes in stamina, longer recovery after simple tasks, a sense that the body is working harder than it should. These are common experiences among seniors, yet they're rarely connected back to daily routines and almost never explained as part of a bigger system. Most people are told to stay consistent and keep going. But consistency without reassessment can be misleading, especially when age shifts how the body responds internally. The intention is protection. The outcome, however, may be added stress. That's the uncomfortable gap many seniors live in, trying to do everything right while feeling something isn't aligning anymore. Once you see that this experience is shared by millions, everything changes. It stops feeling like a personal failure and starts looking like a systemic blind spot, one that has nothing to do with motivation or willpower, but everything to do with how the heart adapts after 60. And before you can correct it, you need to understand the specific mechanism creating this hidden strain. The problem is not your age. It is also not a lack of discipline or commitment. Most seniors have been following guidance for years with consistency. The real issue may be something far more common and overlooked, a routine pill prescribed for decades, now associated with heart stress in older adults. Not because it was a mistake at the time, but because the body after 60 responds very differently. As we age, the heart becomes more sensitive to daily inputs. What once supported balance can slowly increase internal workload. This doesn't happen overnight or dramatically. It builds quietly, without obvious warning signs. That's why many seniors never connect the dots. They assume changes are just aging, when in reality it may be a hidden interaction. This realization often brings relief instead of fear, because it removes personal blame from the equation. You didn't fail your heart. You didn't ignore your health. You trusted information that was considered standard for decades. The problem isn't effort, it's outdated assumptions about how the aging system works. Cardiology today looks very different than it did years ago. New patterns are being observed in older adults, especially around long-term routines and cumulative stress. This doesn't mean everything needs to be stopped. It means everything needs to be understood differently. Context matters more after 60, and that context is often missing from conversations. When seniors finally hear this explanation, something clicks. The confusion begins to fade. Energy changes suddenly make more sense, subtle discomforts feel less mysterious, and frustration turns into clarity. Because the enemy was never your age, it was incomplete information. Once that belief is broken, the next question becomes obvious. If the issue isn't age or discipline, then what exactly inside the body is being affected? Which internal system is carrying this hidden load? And how does it quietly influence heart function over time? To answer that, we need to look deeper, right at the internal mechanism creating this hidden strain. For years, I watched seniors do everything right. They followed recommendations and stayed consistent. They trusted routines that were considered protective, yet something kept repeating in the background. The same medication side effects seniors would mention casually, the same small complaints that never raised alarms, but together they formed a pattern.
It wasn't dramatic or obvious at first. No emergencies or sudden events, just quiet signals appearing over time. Subtle fatigue, unexplained pressure, slower recovery after simple activities, signs most people brushed off. When these experiences were lined up side by side, they matched. Different people, different routines, same internal strain showing up quietly. That's when senior heart damage signs became impossible to ignore. Not as a diagnosis, but as a repeated observation. What stood out most was how long this went unnoticed, because each sign alone seemed harmless. No one connected them as part of a system. They were treated as isolated complaints, one adjustment here, another suggestion there, but nothing ever addressed the full picture. That's when a deeper question started forming. What if these weren't random at all? What if they were linked by one internal process, a shared response inside the aging heart, triggered slowly, reinforced daily, and rarely explained clearly? Once that possibility appeared, it couldn't be unseen. The focus shifted away from symptoms and toward the system underneath them. Because patterns don't lie, they point to structure, and structure always reveals a mechanism. Which brings us to what's really happening inside the heart. What shocked me most was this realization. The answer was never about stopping everything. It wasn't about fear or drastic decisions. There is a natural and careful way to help the heart handle this stress, a way that works with the body, not against it, especially for older adults. But the solution can't come before understanding. Because without context, even good actions can backfire. The heart responds to signals, not intentions, and after 60, those signals are interpreted differently. That's why timing and sequence matter so much. You can't support a system you don't see, and you can't fix stress you don't recognize. Everything starts with clarity. Most approaches jump straight to action. They skip the most important step, understanding what the body is actually reacting to, not on the surface, but internally at the system level, where small daily inputs accumulate and where stress quietly builds. Once that internal process is visible, options expand. What felt confusing begins to make sense. The heart is no longer the enemy. It's responding logically to its environment, and that environment can be adjusted, gently, safely. This is where real hope appears. Not exaggerated promises, not quick fixes, but a smarter framework. One that respects the aging body and restores balance instead of forcing change. That's the difference most seniors never hear about. Before anything can be applied, one question must be answered. What exactly is creating this hidden heart stress? Which internal system is sending the wrong signals, and why does it become more sensitive with age? Once you see that mechanism clearly, the path forward becomes obvious, and that's what we need to uncover next. As the years pass, the heart gradually loses cellular efficiency, not suddenly, but through slow internal wear. It's similar to an older engine running on the wrong fuel. It still works, but with more resistance, more effort for the same output. This is a common pattern in heart stress in older adults, and that explains why symptoms appear quietly. At the cellular level, circulation and elasticity become harder to maintain. Energy production inside heart cells becomes less efficient. The heart compensates by working harder. That extra workload often goes unnoticed, especially when daily routines remain unchanged for years. This is where some common medications' heart risk profiles increase, not as a direct cause, but as added strain. Many of these medications were never designed for aging systems. They were tested for short-term outcomes, not for decades of cumulative use. Over time, subtle side effects can overlap, creating background stress instead of balance. This doesn't mean they are inherently harmful. It means context matters more after 60. Observational research has revealed something interesting. When internal stress signals are reduced, the heart responds positively, not through force, but through support. Certain natural compounds have been observed to assist this process, especially in older adults, by supporting circulation and cellular energy pathways without overstimulating the system. These observations don't point to cures or guarantees. They point to patterns of improved resilience, better internal efficiency, and reduced background strain, all by working with how the aging heart actually functions, rather than ignoring those changes. This is where the conversation shifts from fear to strategy. If stress is being created at the cellular level, then support must also begin there, not by adding pressure, but by restoring efficiency. And to do that correctly, you need to understand how to prepare the system first. That realization led to a very specific approach, not a generic solution meant for everyone, but a structured protocol designed around the aging heart, built to support daily function, not override it, focused on circulation, internal efficiency, and balance, especially where quiet stress tends to accumulate. This system was created with seniors in mind. Instead of forcing the heart to work harder, the goal was to help it work smarter, by supporting natural processes already in place, processes that weaken gradually with age. This approach looks at how the heart manages energy, how it responds to daily signals, and how to reduce unnecessary internal strain. The protocol uses carefully selected natural components, not to stimulate aggressively, but to support circulation and flexibility gently, helping the heart adapt to daily demands without adding pressure to an already sensitive system. This is about cooperation with the body, not control over it. What makes this approach different is specificity. It wasn't designed for younger bodies or short-term situations. It was structured exclusively for people over 60, where safety, tolerance, and rhythm matter more. Every element follows the same logic: reduce stress before expecting performance. This is not a one-size-fits-all method. It respects how the heart changes with time and how seniors process daily inputs differently. That's why simplicity is built into the system. Clear phases, clear purpose, clear support without overload.
When the heart finally receives the right kind of support, something important happens. The body stops resisting. Signals become clearer. Responses become more consistent. But to make this work properly, the protocol must be applied in the correct sequence. What followed were quiet but meaningful reports, not dramatic claims or overnight transformations, just consistent experiences shared by seniors. People who decided to protect their heart after 60. Many described a lighter feeling in the chest, a sense of reduced internal pressure, and greater comfort during daily activities. Others noticed changes in their energy levels, not bursts or spikes, but steadier energy throughout the day, less afternoon fatigue, more willingness to stay active. small shifts that added up over time and felt sustainable. Some spoke about improved peace of mind, less awareness of discomfort, fewer moments of unease, not because something was being masked, but because the body felt more supported, calmer, more balanced internally. These experiences weren't identical, and they weren't guaranteed. Each body responded at its own pace, which is exactly what you would expect from a system designed to support, not force. Variation is normal. Consistency is what stood out. What mattered most was the pattern, seniors reporting similar types of improvement across different routines and lifestyles, without extreme changes, without discomfort, just better alignment with their body and fewer signs of daily heart stress. These are not miracle promises. They are lived experiences from people who chose a smarter approach, one focused on long-term heart support, especially after 60. And once these patterns are understood, the next question becomes how to apply it correctly. If you want to support your heart health in a conscious way, there is a clear next step available to you. The supportive elements used in this protocol can be found through the resource linked below. It's presented as a structured option, not a shortcut, and not a replacement for informed decisions. This approach was designed to complement a healthy lifestyle, not to compete with medical guidance, and not to override professional care. It respects the role of your doctor, because heart health after 60 requires cooperation between daily habits, informed support, and ongoing medical oversight. Nothing here claims to diagnose, treat, or cure. That's not the purpose of this system. The goal is support, reducing unnecessary internal stress, helping the heart function more efficiently within the context of real aging and realistic expectations. This is not for everyone. It's not meant for people looking for instant results or those expecting dramatic changes overnight. It's for seniors who value understanding, who want to protect their heart after 60, and who prefer thoughtful support over aggressive intervention. The protocol exists to work alongside your choices, your routines, your lifestyle. It fits into daily life without disruption and emphasizes long-term consistency, because that's what the aging heart responds to best: stability over extremes. Once you understand where this support fits, the final piece becomes clear. It's not just what you use, it's how and when you apply it. The sequence matters, the phases matter, and that's what brings everything together next. If this information made sense to you, take the next step now. Click the first pinned comment to learn more about this approach. It will walk you through the support system calmly and clearly. No pressure, no exaggerated promises, just structured information designed for seniors who value heart health. If you believe this message could help others, take a moment to like this video. That simple action helps more seniors see this alert, especially those over 60 who may be experiencing the same silent stress without realizing what's causing it. Information only helps when it reaches people. You can also leave a comment below. Simply share your age. It helps others feel less alone and shows how many seniors are paying attention to heart health. Community matters. Shared awareness matters, especially at this stage of life. If protecting your heart with real information matters to you, make sure to follow this channel. New videos are released regularly, each one focused on clarity, not fear, education, not pressure, and practical understanding for seniors who want to stay proactive. The goal here is simple: help you make smarter decisions over time, based on how the body actually changes after 60. Not outdated assumptions, not generic advice, but context that respects aging and long-term heart support. Because once you start seeing heart health as a system, everything connects differently. Daily habits, internal signals, long-term support. And in the next message, we'll go deeper into how to apply this knowledge consistently.